Hey moms, welcome back to the channel. And today we are continuing our Momestly dads with Rick.
Hello.
Yeah, so Rick is my husband.
Mm-hmm.
He's 28.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have one son
I
together.
do. Correct.
He may have kids other places. I don't know.
Who knows?
And he's going to talk about his experience as a dad thus far.
Yep.
And how's that been for you, Richard?
It's definitely been interesting just because I guess I'm the first person in the group of my friends to have a kid. So that took some adjusting because, obviously when I first started dating Angel, I had to make the adjustment that not everything was about me, and then blah blah blah, because I'd never been in a real serious relationship. And obviously having a kid, you really have to put everyone else before you, your wife or, your spouse, and then your child, or vice versa. So that definitely took some adjusting when having a kid. And then when, my friends would ask me to go out or do this or do that, and my hobbies, whatever it was, my work schedule has already been discussed, as I work in EMS, so we do basically a rotating schedule. So I already have every other weekend off. So I'm working every other weekend. So if we want to do something on weekend A and I'm working, well, then I've only got weekend B to really do anything. And then I've got a kid. So for probably the first year, that was very difficult to have any free time with my friends and stuff. And then obviously, I have to say, I can't go out. I have to watch the kid, or Angel needs help, so I need to be there for her, or she's not feeling well, and I need to take care of the kid for however many days until she's back up to 100%. So definitely took a lot of adjusting. But it's a rewarding experience. I'm glad that I'm 28 and I have a 2-year-old, as opposed to being 40. I think my dad had me. I'm 28. He's 72. So whatever that math is, he had me, in his 40s. And I'm glad that I'll be 40 when my son is 22, so I can still go out and do stuff with him. And I can go, if he's into the bar scene, I can go to the bar, and it's not really awkward that I'm some old guy with him, or I can still ride motorcycles or whatever he's into. I feel like at that age I can still keep up with them. So that's nice to know that in the future I'll be able to maintain a relationship like that.
That is an interesting dad perspective. Yeah, being able to go to the bar with him. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad, that's one of the things I always thought about being wanting to be in my mid-20s, was to be younger and still be able to hang. But that is an interesting
really even just to have a life after you're done.
Yeah.
Because the people that we are all not so much now, but that we used to be I can't believe they already have kids. Well, good for them, because they're going to get to have their life back before we are.
And their kids are going to be gone by 40. Or by we have friends who had kids when they were 19 and 20. And so their kids are already 11. So before we're 40, their kids are going to graduate high school.
I don't necessarily have any friends that are like that, but I definitely know people from high school that, I'll see them on Facebook every once in a while. They'll post an image of their kids or whatever, and I'm like, oh crap, your kid's 8 now. It's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, so that definitely takes some adjusting. I and because I'm a little younger, I'm glad that I didn't have Oliver at 20, because I was not ready. at that age. And you know, I definitely feel like it's one of those things where you're not ever 100% ready. At least in my opinion, I don't think I'd ever be 100% ready. Like, I could be 35, 40 years old and I'd still be like, God, can I raise another human being? Can I be responsible for this person and everything that they do? But I feel like at 28, or I guess at 26 was when I was born, I was definitely as ready as I was ever going to be. Where I'm at in my life, I never would imagine myself to be 28 years old and have a house with a mortgage, a car with a car payment, a brand new car. I think it was 2018 when we bought it.
Yeah, we got it in 2017,
right.
But it was a 2018.
The model was 2018.
Right.
And a child in a good relationship that I'm proud of, that is stable and that we don't fight and all these other things. So it's definitely, I don't want to say I'm proud of myself because I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm satisfied with where I'm at in my life, and it can only go up. So, and having a son obviously makes that a lot better because, you know, I get to teach him and show him all these things and watch his success now. So it's nice to see.
Only because you just mentioned that part. Would it have been different if you would have had a girl?
No. Why do you say yes?
Would he be more like Mike and like wrapped around her finger, you think?
Yeah, and I think, well, and so one of the couple of reasons that Rick doesn't want another is because he's terrified of having a girl. He does not want to have a girl. And I feel like if that had happened to us, like if we'd ended up with a little girl, or whatever happens in the future, if there's a girl in the future, then it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like he would be as much as in love with Oliver as he is, and as much as he does like whatever Oliver wants him to do, I think it would be worse with a girl. I really do. You don't think it'd be worse?
Worse.
Not for me. I'd be like, go away.
Not like a worse experience.
Yeah, just like because it's just a different type of connection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I know I've used the word scare. Like, yeah, I'd like to think that I would be. I guess wrapped around the girls.
I think it's interesting because, you know, when we talked about getting pregnant, or I told Rick said he wanted to get married before we had kids, and so my stipulation was that's fine, but right after we get married, we're starting to try, because I wanted a kid sooner rather than later because I'm a little bit older and I wanted to start. Right.
And it was in my speech.
Yeah. Well, I think and I think it's funny because I know like as much as he's good with it now, I know that he didn't want to have a kid at the time, at the moment that we did. But he was like, okay, you know, after we get married, we can start trying. So we were married for 5 months and we started trying, and it took 5 months to get pregnant. And then I felt, I worried for a while afterwards that I had kind of pushed him into this thing that maybe he really didn't want yet. And then, you know, it's interesting because after I had Oliver and we were in the hospital, I didn't have to tell him to do anything. He just took over. He just kind of ran the show. He changed all of Oliver's diapers for the first week he was in existence outside of the womb, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think you can change diapers.
You know what I mean?
That'd be awkward.
But you just kind of took over. So I don't were you surprised? Because it seemed like it all came pretty natural to you.
Well, so my mom has been watching kids for basically her whole life, I'd say. You know, she was a nanny when she first came. She immigrated from Ireland to here. And that's actually how she met my dad, was she was babysitting one of my dad's friends' kids. I think that just being around that a lot of my life, being around other kids, and of course, you know, I'd have my own way of interacting. I don't remember how I was as a kid with kids.
Right.
Sure.
But I think that seeing my mom interact with the kids probably had some kind of subconscious effect on me, whether I know it or not. And I think that it was also, I mean, being in EMS, you have to be empathetic. And I think that was it. I guess that'd be considered a form of empathy, is seeing a baby, which is essentially defenseless, and having to care for that baby, and obviously knowing that baby is also mine. well, supposedly, allegedly, could have been switched up in the nursery. Who knows?
There's no way.
I'm glad that's the direction you went, because for a second I was like, hold the fuck up.
No, that kid's definitely mine.
He's definitely
First of all the security that our hospital had, no way would that happen.
It's really more, is it
Second
really
of
my
all-
kid? Like, maybe you had a kid with somebody else.
I mean, just kind of put it there. You were asleep one night and they were just like, huh? There's a baby.
How would that work?
It wouldn't. It's a, oh my God.
It
Anyway.
wouldn't.
Anyway.
Like, where are you? But yeah, like I think that my mom's taking care of kids in front of me probably had a role in it, but it definitely did feel natural. And obviously, actually, Angel's sister Dina showed me how to change my first diaper in the hospital, and then after that, it was. I mean, obviously, changing diapers is easy. It's not. I thought that raising. Maybe not raising a kid, but like the diaper stuff and the feeding and all that stuff, all that seemed like so scary. And oh my God, this is gonna be so much. It's easy. It's not. I don't want to say it's easy, but it definitely came natural. And I definitely didn't have to think about it. I just was like, oh, okay, he's crying. Okay, does he need a diaper change? Is he hungry?
Yeah.
Is he thirsty? What's going on?
We had a checklist that we went through.
Yeah.
And if all those things were met, then he just wanted to cry.
And he was also remarkably easy to take care of. He still is, from hearing horror stories, and obviously some parents kind of exaggerate things, but he really is remarkably easy. He essentially never cried unless he needed something. And then when we gave it to him, changed his diaper, fed him, whatever, he would stop almost immediately and almost every single time. I could probably name the amount of times on one hand, how many times we could not figure out why he was crying. So that's part of the reason that I'm terrified of having another one, is like this one was so easy. So I couldn't, like, I've heard horror stories of kids being, what is it when they cry?
Colicky.
Colic
is rough.
Yeah, like that would.
There's nothing you can do about it. Like, we've kind of talked about that too, though, because Aria's been easy, but like we really want to have at least one more. So, but it's still like, well, what if they're horrible?
Yeah.
I was gonna
I had
transfer them to somebody else.
Yeah, I had a coworker tell me, I had a couple coworkers actually tell me, like, when people start on you about how, well, just keep in mind, this one's so easy, your next one's going to be a terror. They were like, that's not true. All of my kids were the exact same. Like, and I've had multiple people say that. I think it's just depends on, I mean, it's all random. You don't have any much control over any of that anyway, but yeah.
They're going to be who they are going to be, you know.
Rick had a really big group of friends that he played a specific hobby with. And none of those people met our son until he was a year old.
No, actually, they haven't met him to date, I think.
Well, some of them met them at
the wedding.
His party.
And then Zach came to the party. The birthday party.
Right.
But the only friend out of all of Rick's friends that came and met Oliver right after he was born was Mark. Yep. His friend Mark. Which he's known for however long.
Actually, Mark continues. Mark is... It's interesting to me because Mark is socially awkward isn't the right word, but Mark is
he takes a while to warm up, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, he's not very social. He doesn't like parties and all this stuff, and obviously he doesn't have kids. I don't want to say obviously like that. Yeah.
Well, you did say that none of your other friends have kids yet. And Jed is an exception to that, because we're talking about like you met Jed through work, not your.
I met Jed,
Ollie was.
I guess about 2 years ago.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, after he was born. But these are friends before Ollie was born.
These are guys that I've known for
years.
Almost 15 years now at this point.
I mean, Mark has kind of blown me away with that, because like he engages with Ollie and he talks to him and he interacts with him and stuff. And like, I think as a parent, like I saw this on Facebook actually earlier today. It's like one of the best things of being a parent is having people in your life that care about your kids the way that you do, or at least in a similar way. And it's been cool, like watching. I mean, that seems to come a little more natural than like interacting with adults, which honestly.
Yeah.
I can relate, but like.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I was getting to the point that, you know, Mark doesn't go out much and Mark doesn't interact with a lot of people, but he interacts with my kid better than he does with complete strangers. Which obviously, I mean, I guess he's not, you know, Oliver's not a stranger to him anymore. But, you know, 2-year-olds are a lot different than an adult that you don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark is definitely, you know, some people, you have certain people that you say, you know, uncle or aunt, insert name. And you're only saying that because you're kind of friends with them, and like you don't really consider them an uncle or an aunt. I definitely do consider Mark, you know, an uncle to Oliver, because if something ever happens to us or me or whatever, Mark lives 5 minutes down the road, and I could definitely trust him to say, hey, I need you to go by the house and do this for Oliver, or give this to, or whatever the, you know, whatever the scenario is. I would definitely trust that, and Oliver would trust him.
Yeah.
To that point as well.
Yeah.
So that's really good to know that I have someone that's not necessarily family, but that is family. Because that's definitely what Mark is. Mark is family. His parents are family. So I definitely trust that if anything would ever happen, if I needed a favor or whatever, I could rely on that. And that's definitely good to know.
What do you feel like are some of your biggest changes between like finding out, like, how did you feel when I told you I was pregnant? I mean, you knew we were trying.
Well, you also picked a very awkward time to do the test. So she bought the pregnancy test just to buy it.
Well, I'd been sick all weekend.
She bought it for shits and giggles.
I'd been sick all weekend.
To solidify the fact that she wasn't pregnant. She was like, I'm not pregnant. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just doing it, whatever. Yeah, so I was on my game, and I have you know, gaming set up, and I've got sound canceling headphones and all this other stuff. So, you know, and she just went in and did it, and then she all of a sudden I feel her in my periphery standing in the doorway, and she goes, Rick, and then something, I guess I knew.
That's not what happened.
It is.
I was sitting in the bathroom on the toilet. It was closed. I was done, but I was sitting on it, and I was looking at the test, and I said, babe, that's what happened.
But didn't you end up running into the room?
No, I hear you from the other room go, you're pregnant, aren't you?
Really, that's what he wished would have happened in his head.
I do remember though being like, oh, okay, but like it didn't quite register. I don't think it ever really registered.
Even now, 2 years later.
And I was having a kid until I was
what?
You know, until I was standing there and I was like, oh shit, that's a baby's head. Oh fuck. All right, this is happening.
That's when it registered, is when you're in the room and you're like,
and you
that's
have to
what that
think
looks
about the
like.
fact that like I had a really easy pregnancy, most of it, like, and he wasn't impacted by like crazy mood swings or weird weird cravings or like just craziness. Like I didn't nest. I didn't do any of those things, and
you didn't have outrageous sickness or anything.
Yeah, and I only had morning sickness once.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't anything for him other than the physical. I do remember the first time you saw his hands on my belly. Like, you know how when they go like this?
Oh, yeah. I probably didn't. Oh, yeah, I probably didn't make a face.
You used to be able to, you could feel Aria's spine. And so the first time that Mike felt her spine, he was like, oh.
Yeah, Rick was so funny. I remember because we were laying in bed and I was like, look. And it's one of those things where, and you see these memes all the time, but it's like, oh, dad's trying to feel. Everyone stop moving or whatever. Like whatever it says. Like it's like, stop moving. And then like the dad never gets to feel. That was never the case with Oliver because he never stopped moving. But the first time Rick saw it, he was like, oh, like he is so
You're never ready. In EMS, I've seen almost everything under the sun. And that I was like, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's an alien.
So you just had this moment of like, oh, okay, and then
with
pregnancy.
I was like, what are we still on?
The pregnancy.
Yeah, I mean, it's still weird to me that I have a son. But yeah, like it never really registered until I was sitting there holding my son, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm in charge of you now." Okay, what do? So
I've only seen Rick cry like 3 times, I think, in the almost 7 years that we've been together. And one of them was when a family pet died for a long time, or was a family pet for a long time and that passed away. And then another time was a not so happy time. But then the third time was when he came over after Oliver was out, and he just had like tears in his eyes. And I was like, I'm going to tell people that you cried before. Or no, he said, if anybody asked, you cried first. That's what it was. He said, if anybody asked, you cried first. And my first question was, is he cute?
I said, yeah, he's fucking cute.
Yeah,
he really was a fucking
He
cute
goes,
baby.
he's a cute baby. It's the way, it was so cute the way you said it.
Everyone thinks that their baby is cute, and everyone goes, no, he's not fucking cute. That's an alien. He's a cute fucking baby. And even my dad is like, he's fucking perfect. He's pink. His APGAR was, there's never a perfect APGAR score, but it was damn
It was
close.
up there.
He had a little bit of cyanosis on his extremities, but other than that, he was a damn near perfect baby.
It took him, I think one of his things was it took him a little longer to cry at first because I didn't hear him. And and after he was out and I didn't hear him for like, this part still like chokes me up for a couple of seconds, I started to kind of panic. And Dina, my sister, immediately knew what I was thinking. And she goes, it's not like the movies. Give him a second. You will hear him in a second. And then as soon as I heard him cry, like I started sobbing and I felt like this huge weight had been lifted because I was so scared that like something had happened.
Yeah.
What about when I was in labor? Was that fun for you?
Don't say yes.
No, but I was like in between, like helping her. I was eating M&Ms.
And how did that make Angel feel?
He didn't want to eat in front of me, so he would feel bad if he ate in front of me. So that was like the only thing we had with us. And so
she'd be like, push, and she'd be and then she'd be relaxing in between contractions. I'd run over, grab the skip or the M&Ms bag, and just sit there and just munch on them. And I looked over at her mom, at Miss Miriam, her mom, and she's like, "Really? You're gonna eat right now?" I was like, "I'm hungry," and I just started eating.
It's like, have you met Rick?
I mean,
and I kind of look at her, and I could see her straining. I was like, "Oh, here it goes," and I put the M&Ms down and come back. Keep going. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah.
And so what were you thinking when we brought him home?
I brought him home. I don't really remember thinking anything differently than being at the hospital.
Were you nervous about taking him home? I know some people get like that. They're like, oh shit, now we're taking him where it's just up to us.
No, I
wasn't. I was actually very ready to take him home.
So I don't think I was really uncomfortable taking him home. And I was probably more, I don't want to say excited, but just content with it, of just being home and not at the hospital anymore.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to the house, I was way more excited because the house, we have more control over everything. It's not an apartment. We can set up everything exactly how we want it to, and we can change it if we need to.
Yeah.
So.
And then how do you feel like your opinions of being a dad have changed now that he's 2? I mean, obviously we still have a long way to go, but.
Changed from when he was born to now that he's 2?
Yeah.
Never changed at all.
You know,
like what do you mean changed? What would change?
I don't know. Like,
some dads feel wiser, or like that they've learned a lot, or like, has it changed you as a person?
It's changed. It's definitely changed me as a person because, you know, in EMS, I haven't had that call yet where it's been with kids and it's been rough, difficult call, you know, and talking with people. Like trust me, there's some horror stories that I've heard. And especially being in Atlanta with Grady and stuff, that can be a very high call volume, or difficult calls that people will have.
Right.
So I've heard some stories that I never want to experience. And actually, when I was in school, we had one guy who he had something happen, and when he was telling us the story, I could tell from looking at his eyes that he was legitimately distraught with it, and everyone was like, if you need to talk, blah, blah, blah. And even our instructors were like, yeah, this is a rough call. So it wasn't him just being overly emotional. It was, and listening to, obviously I'm not going to go into it, but it was a very, traumatizing experience. So I haven't experienced that at work myself yet, but I definitely feel that if I ever experienced something like that, it would hit harder, being that I have kids, being that if I didn't, it would definitely hit harder. And I definitely feel like I'm more empathetic with people who have kids. I've had patients, I've delivered a baby, assisted with the delivery. The mom honestly did most of the work with it. We hardly had to do anything for it. But you know, we were super excited. Both me and my partner have kids, and so
Jed.
Jed, who was obviously in the previous video. And so we were both super excited about it and proud of that. And
They got a little stork pen to put on there.
Aww.
Isn't that cute? He's supposed to get a blue one, but they didn't give him a blue one.
it was a white one, gender neutral.
It would have been really cute though, because the baby was a boy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess having a kid, I guess what I'm getting to is, I guess having a kid would, you know, it's inevitability that you have those calls. So I guess it's not a matter of if, it's just when. So I feel like that'll definitely hit me harder, and I'll probably come home and have to cope my own way. And yeah, I'm terrified of that day. You know, and everyone thinks themselves as bulletproof, but at the end of the day, it's okay to feel something and to be emotional when you need to be emotional.
Well, we were watching Incredibles 2.
Oh, this story.
This story. We're watching Incredibles 2, and if you haven't seen it, it's not like a huge spoiler, but it's very dad and kid oriented. It's very much about Mr. Incredible and his relationship with his kids. That's the most of the movie. And I don't honestly, I can't even remember what the whole movie was about. I don't remember, but I remember there was a point where something happened. I feel like we probably got through most of it, if not all of it. And Rick got up in the middle of he paused it and he got up, and I was like, did he hear the baby? Like, I didn't hear Oliver. And I have mom ears, so I was really confused. But he got up and he opened the door, and so I was just waiting. I'm thinking he heard him, and at that time he had his pacifier, so I thought, oh, maybe he's going in there and he's going to give him his pacifier or whatever. And then he was in there, and I didn't hear anything, and he didn't come out, and I was like, okay. So I got up to look, and he was kind of down on the hunched over on the floor, sort of. Looking and just watching Oliver sleep, because something in the movie had just, I guess, moved him to go and want to see his son.
Yeah, and also with I think at the time I was working nights, so I would get home.
You weren't getting a lot of quality time.
Yeah, I'd work 6 to 6, so I'd literally get home, stay up with him for a few hours. Whenever he went to nap, I would nap. So I'd sleep a maximum of 3 hours. And when he'd get up, I'd have to get up, and then I'd go to work. So I didn't really get a lot of time with him. And then the time that I did have with him, I was so exhausted a lot of time that I was there, but I wasn't. And I could tell that he wanted to play, you know, when he was older, and I just couldn't. And I might have felt slightly, I don't want to say guilty, but guilty that I wasn't able to give him 100% of me, which I should have been doing, obviously, but I was just so exhausted from working.
Right.
Now that I'm not working nights, now that I'm working days, and I can come home, and a lot of times I'll come home and he'll still be up, so I can spend some time with him, and blah blah blah. That's a lot. It's a lot better for me, and I feel like it's definitely a lot better for him.
So that kind of I'm trying to figure out what scene it was. Do you remember what scene it was?
It's a specific scene between I think Dash and
I think it was when
Mr. Incredible. I really do, because whatever it was, it hit. I think we both were kind of like, oh, you know, but he got up and
yeah.
I don't remember. We've only seen it once, so I don't remember. I don't even remember it, other than I know that they're being superheroes and they're not supposed to be being superheroes, and
yeah.
I'm sure we'll watch it again and be like,
that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
If you watch it before this video comes out, then we'll
clip it in.
We'll let you know.
We watched the beginning of it when Drew was here, but he lost interest. He stopped watching it. But yeah, it was.
Oh, is he too old for it? That sucks.
I don't know. He's a teenager, so it's oh, this sounds like a great idea. Okay, I'm gonna leave now. He just does
20 minutes later.
He does that. He did that with almost everything we watched the whole time he was here last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I just thought that's when he would try and give me shit for Bar Rescue. Just be like, we're gonna watch it because
you're not gonna watch it anyway. You're gonna be on your phone or doing whatever. you crazy kids do these days.
All right. Well, on that note,
if you have any like if you were to give dads, like new dads, I guess, or upcoming dads, like any advice, what would it be?
You're never ready. You're never 100% ready.
Mike said the same thing, didn't he?
Did.
That's funny.
You're never 100% ready.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's one thing because like Angel mentioned, I wanted to have a house, or I'm sorry, I wanted to be married and I wanted to have a house. Well, getting married is easy. Obviously,
it really is. It really
having a house is not easy.
Not getting a house, and honestly, the only reason that we were able to get the house so quickly was because I utilized the GI Bill and I didn't have to put anything down. Yeah. And we still got a pretty good interest rate. So that was a huge help. And obviously that's not afforded to everyone.
Yeah.
So we were fortunate enough with that. But you're never 100% ready. It doesn't matter where you live as long as it's a safe, stable environment.
That's a good one.
Don't be afraid of failing. You only learn if you fail. So if you're going to fail, make sure to learn something. And if your friends if your friends try and seriously divert you away from having a kid, tell them to fuck off and do what you want to do. Because having a kid is it's a difficult experience. It's very difficult, but it's very rewarding. And the fact that my dad, like watching my son interact is incredible. Watching my dad interact with my son is very rewarding. Can't think of anything else. You're gonna fail. That's a big one.
It's okay to have emotions. You said that earlier. It's okay to have emotions.
Don't be afraid.
You don't have to be a tough dad.
Yeah. No. There's definitely times where I'll watch my kid do something and doesn't make me cry, but it chokes me up, or it'll kind of
hits you.
It hits me, and I like that because one, obviously, it shows that you're empathetic, you're feeling something. But watching my son grow and learn and develop and figure things out is incredible to watch a baby, a 1.5, 2-year-old, figure out how things work. That's because I can't see my hands. Watching a kid figure stuff out is awesome. Yeah.
Our son is crazy.
Yeah.
I was just telling somebody today about your son teaching my daughter things, like how to climb on top of Rubbermaid containers.
Yeah, he did that today.
She teaches him valuable things like this is how you eat with a fork, and he's like, this is how you get in trouble.
That's right. It's a balance. It's a fine balance.
Which is why he's definitely my son.
Yeah, he pulled Cokes. I don't know if I've told this on a video before, but we keep our 12 packs of sodas either right outside of our pantry or on the bottom of it. One day they were inside the pantry. He opened them and I could hear him messing with the cans, and I got up and I was like, what are you doing? He pulled the boxes of sodas, the 12 packs, over to the window in our breakfast area, whatever that's called, and pushed them all against it so he could stand on them to look out the window. Yep. No one taught him that. No one showed him that. He just was like, you know what? I bet if I put that shit over there, I can stand up and look out that window. That's what I'm going to do.
It's crazy. It's craziness.
He is crazy.
Yeah. But on that note, thank you for talking with us, Rick. I really like these kind of things are really enlightening. As many times as we've chatted and talked and we see each other because we've known each other for a long time, learn something new.
Do you think, well, and I guess we can ask you this really quick and then we can really wrap up, but because we talked about Mike being an only kid, do you think having a sibling affected
that's a good question.
In terms of
me raising my kid?
Yeah, and or just your thoughts on becoming a parent or having kids or whatever.
No, so I have a sister. She's 2 years older than me, 2.5 years older than me.
Really quick.
Also been on the channel.
You know that oh yes, Christine. Steen. So you know that Snapchat filter that makes you look like a boy? Did she send that to you?
Yeah.
So Christine has a 5-year-old that she keeps during the day. If you don't know, go watch that video. And she sent us a Snapchat today of her with that filter on, and the 5-year-old in the background goes, "You look like Rick." It made me laugh so hard because she does.
Probably look just
She
like
looks
him.
Exactly like him.
Fun fact, actually, quite a few people have mentioned that me and my sister look like fraternal twins.
Yeah.
Which is very strange for me because she's, like I said, older than me. Not like a little bit.
Just a couple years.
2.5.
Yeah, because she'll be 30 this year.
Yeah.
It would not be like me and my sister, who's 8 years older than me. They're like, you guys look like twins.
Right. No, but it was just, it made me laugh so hard because she really did look like him. And she goes, "Do I think I'm more handsome than Rick." It was really funny.
I don't know if she necessarily had an effect on me raising a kid now. And like I said, like just like with my mom, that could be subconscious where she's had an effect, and I picked up things from her, and I just never really realized it.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, I don't know if she did. She is definitely another one of those people where if I'm unsure of, I can ask her, and I'll listen to her and really respect her opinion on it. And likewise, she'll do the things with me, where she'll ask me, and I'll give her an answer. But I don't know if she has a direct.
So what about like your relationship though? Does your relationship with her like make you think, in terms of like a sibling, like you would like, it doesn't make you think about like wanting Oliver to have someone like that because you guys are close. I know it was a lot easier for you to be closer when she was closer because she doesn't live here,
right.
But I just mean in general, like Texas. Yep. But like, do you ever think about, like if they're like, I have some siblings that I love, but also like if either of us had a reason to want to have only one child, it would be me.
Have we ever mentioned that Angel is like one of 9? Something like that?
Yeah. People ask me, how many angels does Angel have? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Isn't it 9?
No one knows.
9 a bunch.
It's 9 or 10, but like for me, I'm the youngest of 4, and I only ever wanted to have 2. I never talked about wanting more than 2.
And that's the thing is like for me, it was like I do want Oliver to have someone, but I don't want him to have as many someones as I was supposed to have, because I feel like with a lot of it, it's like, I don't know, like it's big families are a lot. That's what I'm saying.
When we first started talking about kids, Angel said that
I wanted like 4.
Yeah, she'd be like, I want 4 or 5. I'm like, fucking no.
I wanted chaos. I wanted utter chaos. And I did get that.
She wanted all boys.
I said the max that we'll have is 2, maybe 3.
And now it's no.
I have mentioned to Jed before. I was like, I just wish that we just had twins. Just
have 2 and
get it out of the way.
Yeah, that is difficult. It's challenging, especially as first-time parents. But geez, man, you have 2 kids and we got 2 kids. We're done.
Thank you for hanging out with us, Rick, and being open and honest. And yeah, if you guys liked this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon.
Hit the bell.
That's right. That's right. Hit the bell.
You know what YouTube he doesn't watch?
What YouTube do I not watch? Oh, this YouTube.
Follow us on social media at Momestly.
Social media.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we will see you all next time. Except for Rick. Bye, Mom.